But as much as it changes things for Manchester City, surely also if you're in the Arsenal dressing room right now, it completely changes the thought process for them as well. And games that you might thought, oh, we're relaxed now, we've won 4 on the bounce, suddenly looking a bit harder, like Brentford on Thursday. They can't let anything on the outside. They're in the driver's seat. They're in control of their destiny. That's what you want as a football player. You want to be able to feel like as long as we keep doing what we need to do, we're going to win the title. Like, so I don't care if you win. You can win as many games as you want. As long as I do my job, that's all that matters. And I think that's the perspective that Arsenal have to have. Yes, cool, we understand from the outside. We're seeing that it might add a bit more tension, a bit more drama, a bit more jeopardy. But from their perspective, they have to be thinking it's another day at the office. We've got to go out here, we've got to do a job and focus on ourselves. I think when you look at those fixtures, they look favourable for Man City, but I'm sure if, when we put Arsenal's up, it'll be pretty much the same. And we're talking about Arsenal still having to go to City. I think the Carabao Cup final is a huge moment for both teams. And I think if Manchester City won that, psychological, because then a lot of talk would be, oh, Arsenal can't get over the line again, another trophy. Even if the if City could cut that by a point or two round about then and could beat them in the Carabao Cup final, I think psychologically that would be huge for sort of Manchester City in that run. And I think Arsenal are the best team. I think they've got the best squad. I still believe they'll go on and win the league. But I'm just thinking where sort of City can get a little chink at them. And for me, I think it's almost better for Man City that they're playing Arsenal than Chelsea in the final. Just for that reason, psychologically. March the 22nd is the Carabao Cup final with us, and then April 18th, 19th, that weekend for Manchester City against Arsenal. Is it a question for City then of just trying to get on Arsenal's coattails before that game comes around? Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I think the one we've been critical of the City team over the last day. If you're in Arsenal's camp, yeah, you're comfortable where you are in the points total and they're playing, and again, a lot of goals over the last week or so, the clean sheets, etc. You don't want to be looking over shoulder at Pep because they've got a history of hunting you down. That's the only... I still agree. I still believe Arsenal will win the league. But when you look over his shoulder, and today, when you see him... The Arsenal players would be at home. A lot of them would be watching the game, and the staff, and you see they're 1-0 down. City, you'd be going... There'll be an element to that. And you think, well, they might get a draw, and then to go on and win it. And Pep... And I don't know, sometimes we do kind of write Pep off. We do go, has he still got that hunger, this City? Is it a rebuilding job? And he just mentioned there... They're still in contention to win a few trophies here, and they will try and hunt that Arsenal team down. Could it be a leaving gift, Micah? You said the club has a bright future.
Well, yeah, I mean, with him in it, I think. We hope, because it's been superb, hasn't it, Dave? At the start of the season. Yeah, of course, a lot of Liverpool fans will be talking about that as well. The player who very much stood in their way today for Manchester City. So we've got 13 games left of this season. That's still more than a third. So a lot of points still to play for. If we're thinking about the Champions League, it's pretty much assured that it's going to be down the top 5 again this season. So how do you see this race, Daniel, right now from Liverpool's perspective? I think that as the manager will definitely have decisions to make on stylistically how he wants to move forward. Of course, fitness issues will have their impact, but Chelsea and Manchester United at the moment are high on confidence, feeling themselves, and Liverpool I think their confidence level isn't where Chelsea's and Manchester United's is. Chelsea won 4 out of 4, Man United won 4 out of 4. Yeah, and I think if you look at how they set up today, maybe we could look at the positivity of the setup and go, okay, yeah, maybe they went for it because of the occasion and the fans. But I think I can't see them playing that front. They need steel in midfield. They do. They can see too many counter-attacks. They can see too many opportunities. This is not... We're talking about Virgil van Dijk being the top of all, a lot of statistics, headers, this and that, intercept. It's like Virgil isn't up there usually. Defensively, they are missing something in there. I don't think the midfield right now, and this isn't me having a dig at them, but I don't think that they are defensive. I still think they're offensive-minded. They do need someone who's going to be like, my job is to just run around and make tackles and break play up, and that's what I need to do, and let the guys play. Because the attack and the creativity, there's no question there, but it's stopping the attacks, it's breaking it down. There's no defensive midfielder in there that this is my role, I'm out here to stop things, and that's what the best teams have.
Well, Arna, obviously, heartbreak at the end. How would you assess what you've seen?
Another great Liverpool-Man City game, as we've seen so many times over the last few years. And this was again one of them, but for us, of course, a very disappointing outcome with a 2-1 loss.
What did you make of your performance? The start first half, would you agree they had the better of the opening 45 minutes?
Yeah, they did. Were more comfortable in the ball than us. So they had the better than us, but that didn't lead to many big chances apart from in the first minute. I think Haaland was close to a goal. But I think in the second half it was completely the opposite, where I was waiting for a goal, and when we got it I was waiting for the second. But in the moment, maybe one of the only moments when they were in and around our box in the second half, it was immediately a goal, unfortunately for us, because we defended well, we played well, especially second half, but we conceded a 1-1, and then just after that it was Curtis Jones who had the ball in the midfield, Mo Salah who made a deep run. I think it was a 4 versus 3 situation. I don't know if that ball goes through, it's 3v1 to the goalkeeper. But unfortunately, Gueye intercepted it, and then we all saw what happened in extra time, where we conceded a penalty.
So how did you change the flow of that game, second half, before obviously they then come back late on?
No, we didn't. Tactically, we didn't even change that much, but I think we put a lot of energy in the first half to try to press them really high, but they were very comfortable on the ball, although we were a few times closer winning the ball back. But if the game goes on, you're always hoping that you can keep yourself the energy going, and if the other team then gets a bit tired, sometimes they start to make mistakes, and maybe that's what happened. And then our fans were completely behind us, as they've always been, and that combination led to a very, very, very good and impressive second half, but not the result we wanted.
Do you have the sense at all that anything's gone against you unfairly today? So, I mean, the chuckle says yes, does it?
We can talk about every incident, and everybody has an opinion about this, and that's the difficulty. There are never in football 100-0 decisions. There are always 2 or 3 people to find that have a different opinion. The one if I have to talk about one moment, I would like to talk about the one time Mo was through on goal.
Mark Gueye.
And Gueye hold his shirt. Everyone who's been in the stadium for the past 8 years knows that if Mo Salah comes in that situation, it's a goal. So that is definitely a goal-scoring opportunity. So maybe that is a, 80-20 maybe we can find 20 people, probably from not the FA, from the PGMOL.
That's it.
Probably from there we can find 20 people who tell you that it's not a red card. But I think in general everybody who looks at it will tell you that should have been a red card. And the other incidents are maybe a little bit more 50-50 today.
How much did your bench hurt you today, if that's not unkind on the guys who were there? You know, you had the injuries. Were you not able to impact and affect the game quite as you would have liked?
No, I'm not too sure, because I don't think we needed to impact the game off the bench because we played so well. So yeah, of course, now with Dominic having a suspension and he's playing at fullback, without him being a fullback, but he played really well, by the way. But yeah, we have to accept that and find a solution for Wednesday when we face Sunderland.
What did you make of the goals you conceded? Is preventable fair for both of them?
Preventable?
Preventable. Could have stopped them.
Nah, every goal is a possibility to prevent them, but sometimes also quality on the other side and the margins are really small. The first one, like I said, deflection, had it in. Bernardo Silva anticipated really well. Ali was close to it, but I think it went past him. I'm sure it went past him because it went in. And in the second goal, Ali tries to go for the ball. He's too late. Nunez has the ball. Ball is over the line, but then there's contact. Yeah, maybe there's an 80-20 that 80 people out of 100 say it's a penalty. Maybe even 100 out of 100. I don't know. I don't want to debate that decision. The one I would debate the most, if I may, then it's the one for Mo.
Where do you think this leaves you in terms of your form, but also in terms of your fight for Champions League football? Looks like you've got a real scrap on your hands there.
Yeah, of course, we know how the league table looks like, but we also know that there are a lot of games still to be played. And said to the players again that they showed today where they're capable of. And I definitely see progression, but as we also know that there are not so many games left to be played, so there's not a lot of room for error or mistake for us left. And another time, in my opinion, we didn't got what we deserved, but yeah, I can keep saying it. People probably get annoyed or like, there he is again. But yeah, I try to analyze the game as fair as possible, and that's what I'm trying to do now again.
Thank you, Arne.
You're welcome.
So, Jamie, do you think then, in reality, Arne Slot has got to fight on to save his job here or get himself another season? Just paraphrasing what you said on Monday night in terms of Liverpool reaching the Champions League next season, top 5 will be necessary unless they go and win the Champions League themselves.
If you said to me, do I think Liverpool get in the top 5, I'd say no.
You don't think they will?
Not right now, I don't know. They'd have to have a huge upturn in form, and the ones above them, as Daniel's just said, are in great form. But that was my opinion of the situation, that I think it'd be difficult to defend the manager or for him maybe to stay in the job if you miss out on Champions League football. I haven't won the title the season before. But it was really interesting. There was a round table discussion, I think, a few days ago, between Billy Hogan, the manager, and Richard Hughes, about basically
with key journalists.
No, it was. I think it was for Standard Charter. It was for the club, and it went out. And in some ways, I think, and it was. They spoke about the issue they'd had this season, the difficulties, transfer-wise, and the problems that they had. And I think most supporters have looked at that and almost seen that as almost a statement from the club to say, stop talking about the manager.
He's our man.
He's our man, and he's going to stay, which is absolutely fine. So it doesn't really matter what we say on that. So I think I see the manager staying almost no matter what. I mean, if Liverpool went out very early in the FA Cup and the Champions League, that might be a different, kettle of fish. But I think that chat and some things you read about, sort of, there's a big article there in the Sunday Times, you read things and obviously little information's getting given out at different times, and it looks like they're backing their man.
Don't you think, though, sorry, Dave, if Liverpool play like they did in the second half in terms of how aggressive they was, we saw the chances, I think the second for chances created, they must put them shots away. There's got to be moments where they're going to get over the line. It was sort of the contrast of two Liverpool. You mentioned Liverpool, how they was. In the first half, Man City dominated the ball. They was sat back, a little bit tensive in the way they did things. Second half, when they had a go at City, that's when Liverpool are at the best, especially here.
And we shouldn't forget, Mike, that Alexander Isak is to come back at some point. We're not sure when.
I think Liverpool get into the Champions League. I think the manager's still figuring out what he needs. But if the player did in the second half, I think they'll be fine.
But the strength and depth's a problem, isn't it? Because obviously we're talking about United, for example, no other distractions. Liverpool have still cup competitions. And the manager said in his interview there when he didn't feel he had to make changes because the team were doing well, which they were. Yeah. But when he did look over his shoulder, if he did want to make changes, the options weren't great. And that would catch him on.
I think Liverpool have won 5 league games since September. So we're almost sort of how's he going to fix it? Or what team's he going to pick? Or what's he going to do? It's continually sort of asking questions.
Sunderland unbeaten at home still. That's Wednesday night. And then the next 3 are against teams who are currently in the bottom 4. But do you see hazards there, Daniel? Because their games at Liverpool are expected to win.
Any game in the Premier League is going to be difficult. So we can't, all opposition have their tools and things of that nature. Liverpool don't have a problem creating the chances like we've talked about. It's about taking them. The players that they've got up front are top players. We're used to seeing Mo score 15, 25, 30 goals. He's on, I think, 4 Premier League goals right now, so he's not at the level that he's been at. Ekitike's come in, he's done what he's done. He's got his 10 goals. Gakpo, he's not been as consistent as he has in the past. Isak's out, and I think collectively, Wirtz is pitching in, but I wouldn't say he's a goal scorer, like he's going to rely on him to score goals consistently. So I think all in all, when you look at the attack, you got Rio on the bench, a young player, and a few other guys. They've got to step up. These are top level players we're talking about, guys that the chances that are being put on the plate for them, you would expect them to score them. Maybe it's collective confidence too.
Yeah, the confidence would certainly come into it. When you mentioned earlier, Jamie, about the late goals they're conceding, that'd be a reflection of the squad. Because we know a lot of games are won and lost in the last 10, 15 minutes, particularly in the Premiership, where it's physically hard and mentally tiring. And if you haven't got them options to come off the bench, that quality, when you compare, for example, Liverpool's bench at the moment to Man City's or Arsenal's, they're way behind. And that will reflect on the late goals and the option the manager wants coming on late in the game.
We'll just leave that there a second. That graphic, Jamie, this is what you were talking about before. The joint most in Premier League history, winning goals conceded 90+ minutes or later. And a lot of those other teams, I'm guessing, would have dropped out of the league.
Yeah, I mean,
in those seasons.
I mean, that's awful. And Roy's right, a lot of that is to do with the makeup of the squad and the strength on the bench. And anyone who's not a Liverpool supporter watching this, will be probably screaming at the TV thinking, you spent 450 million in the summer, and they've got a point. How Liverpool have got themselves in a situation where you look at the squad, and people talk about injuries Liverpool have got. Not loads of injuries. Even when at the start of the season, when everyone's fit, you still got a couple of kids on the bench. The squad was never strong enough. I mean, as I said, you look at those sort of other teams, they're probably teams who got relegated. And Roy's right, games are won in the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes. But the amount of times, and it was a little bit different today, Liverpool have actually got an equaliser in those games. You think, go on and win the game. Bournemouth was a perfect example. And go 2-2, you go on and win the game. That's, every top team does that. The great teams who win titles do that. Liverpool did that last season. You don't then go lose the game from that position. It's
can do, despite the fact they've been called killjoys up and down the land right now. But you heard it from Pep. The quadruple is still very much on and alive for Manchester City. But Micah, seriously, how much can one result, one turnaround, change the complexion here? Could one victory here, when it looked like City might be beaten, catapult them into favouritism for the title?
I won't say favouritism. I think they've got experience within it. I told you before we started today, against Spurs in the first half, excellent. Against Newcastle, I saw signs of them being able to come up with this sort of performance. And that's why I said it. City's fixtures looks quite favourable, I would say. City could go on a run for 10 games. That's how good they can
let's look
be.
at this. Could they win all of these?
They could do. Of evidence we've seen in the past. I don't think the team of the past, but what they've showed today against Liverpool at Anfield, especially when you go one down, have you got the character to come back in the game? And that's exactly what they did, and that's why I went strong. Watching them, everyone, we talk about stats, and we love stats. You boys especially love the stats. But when I'm watching them, the combination, especially that's what I was talking about, Mamouche and Semenyo as wide forwards, it was exciting. They're playing good football, and that's why I thought they could do something today.
Why are you laughing at him?
I'm enjoying it. Full of energy, isn't it? But it was.
Well, Pep, where are your emotions? How proud are you of what you've seen from your team, from your club today?
Yeah, because we won, right? When we won, I was really proud and doing the same. We make an incredible first half, really good. We miss some chances, but especially the last pass, the second half. Omar and Erling didn't help us to keep that ball, that they make push Liverpool more, marking and more aggressive, and they have the momentum. And after it was Solai again making copy-paste goal like against Arsenal. What a strike! What a shoot! What a player! And at the end, being lead for our captain, for his, I would say, character, personality, and don't give up. And with Ruben again, back, we follow him, and at the end, we could come back.
10 shots in the first half, which is the most by a visiting team since they began keeping records, I think, in the early 2000s. So what was the key to that first half performance? Just how good was that?
We play good, but we don't produce what maybe we should do it for the last pass, a little bit too hectic, I would say, to Naraj, have to be a little bit more composed, but it's the quality of the players that we have another type of quality. But defensively, always we were so brilliant. I know the pace with Etihad, with Mo, with of course Gapco, with the Virs between the lines, always not easy to control. But the second half we expect that. Bernardo and Rodri were less involved, and these long balls. I'm not saying to win one, but if you lose all of them, you suffer.
How concerned were you second half, having played so well first half?
Have been the season.
It's strange.
Maybe no strange. When it happens many times, you have a problem. So we are not consistent to be 90 minutes. Read a little bit more. But what I said is a team who try to grow, and being in that position many times this season is because still maybe we're not completely ready, but maybe in 1 month we will be more ready because Ruben is back, John Stone is coming back step by step, and Jeremy and Savio is coming back soon too. So when everybody has, this whole squad is a little bit better.
It's the youngest Man City team you've had. Will they grow hugely from what they've just done?
They have a bright future. The club has a bright future. Chiqui and Hugo alongside Ferran make a good signs, really good ones, and with the time when everyone will be settled, the team will continue to be there.
What does it mean to you personally to win here? I know you won during the COVID year, but there's been some tough moments as well.
I prefer to win with an incredible crowd like Liverpool, especially because I don't want COVID back again for to happen for all the humanity, I would say. But it's special. So this is an incredible tough place to come. So with Arne it's difficult, with Jurgen was difficult. So the quality of they have, the history this stadium has. Of course, this is nice. So we won once. It's the second time we won here.
A few moments ago, we interviewed Bernardo and Erling Haaland, who said that their feeling was that had you lost today, that would have been the title gone. And I know beforehand you said 13, 14 games is an eternity, but did you feel similar? 1-0 down, 9 points, it'll be too much?
Listen, in that moment I don't think it's 9 points is too much. Of course it will be massive because you see Arsenal, how strong they are in all competitions and many aspects. But 13 I had the feeling the same that is a lot of games. What I thought is always I am there is what I have done good, we have to do better to win games in the future. That is what I was thinking. What happened again, or why we don't control the second half when the opponents make these man markings. But of course we need this type of victory because despite what happened today, so we have many good things to fight. The final Carabao Cup, FA Cup we are there, Champions League, we're going to last 16. So they're so excitement, and of course being 6 points behind Arsenal, okay, it's a big gap because they don't concede goals, they win all the games, but yeah, many things is going to happen, I guess.
Can I lastly ask you what you made of that, what would have been a third goal at the end? Foul by Szoboszlai, foul by Haaland. I think everyone would have been happier had it been allowed.
Yeah, come on, referee, give the goal, Of course it's fault, and after it's fault for Erling because, it's been pulled, but give, it's over, give the goal. Sometimes it's the common sense sometimes, right? So should be easy, But anyway, like we won, everything is fine.
Well done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, Virgil, obviously tough to take at the end there. How did you see it across the 90 minutes?
First half, I think they were much more comfortable on the ball. We obviously trying to be more direct, try to put the problem on their half, because obviously we knew that they were they will go sort of with a press that they look to get it to our right side and go from there, and I think we weren't good enough in the first half. Second half, I think we were much better, much more dominance on the ball as well at times. And obviously score a worldie of a free kick, and I think then obviously they will come out, press more, and than they even do, and score an equaliser. And I think between the equaliser and the penalty moment, I think both teams trying to, in my opinion right now, by the way, maybe others have a different opinion, but try to go for the winner, and the penalty moment decides the game, and that's the feeling I'm having.
So second half, I mean, particularly after you go in front, did you feel in more or less complete control?
You're never in complete control against City, and especially when City is 1-0 down, they will come and pressure even more. They get subs on, they make more runs. If you see how they play, obviously they play with sort of a 4-4-2 with a diamond on the middle, so you have to communicate well. When Semenyo is coming in the middle, if Milos has to follow, or midfield has to take him. So it's like you're never comfortable, and you always have to be on your toes, I think. Like I said, my feeling at the moment, and maybe I'm wrong, is that after the equaliser, we were both trying everything to try and score the winner. There was obviously a lot of situations and decisions that happened today that obviously decided eventually the game as well.
So you're talking about refereeing decisions there?
No, obviously, like just in general, I think moments in the game. So, yeah. So that's what I mean.
So no complaints, particularly. There are, as there seems to be pretty much every game, big decisions in the match. Gahey pulling back, Salah. Perhaps you could see a different decision. What would have been the third goal would be another one. The penalty would be another.
Yeah, obviously we have no influence on that. I think the penalty with Nunes, I think he could have given it it went so fast, but we have only ourselves to blame, and we have to quickly turn our attention to Sunderland, because that's going to be a very tough one, hell of a job. Team that's obviously unbeaten at home this season, and good challenge ahead of us.
Do you still feel, despite the result, perhaps it's difficult at this moment when you're still gutted, that performance-wise this was another step forward? Do you feel like still you are in a better place than you were?
I'm not sure. It's still a process. I've mentioned it many times. I think second half felt maybe a little bit like a step up. First half we were still not fully in control, and could have done better. Should have done better. But obviously you go in half-time still 0-0, you speak with each other, come out much better in the second half, and 1-0 up, and then it's obviously a different game, and you have to handle that as well. And like I said, unfortunately today the penalty moment was the deciding moment, and that's the reality.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A 90-plus winning goal conceded. They're up to joint most in a season in the Premier League era, which is something of a concern with their concentration levels late on.
It's a big concern, isn't it? And that type of thing plays on your mind. And it's vice versa. When you score goals late on, if you're pressing for a goal, you actually genuinely believe it's going to happen. And that is so powerful. Rather than hoping, actually believing. Liverpool at the moment, when they're defending, they must be thinking, oh, wow, we're not hoping it's going to happen here. We're going to concede because it keeps happening. It's hard to get that out of your mind. So it's a problem for Liverpool. It's probably a mental problem more than anything. A little bit like what Bernardo Silva mentioned to us earlier about the mental problem of first half compared to second half. There's no reason why it should be. It's not like they're not fit. They've got and proven that tonight. So it is a strange one. It is a mentality thing. And the more you prevent that from happening in the future, the more that will disappear. But at the moment, it is a problem. They've got to live with it.
It's a talking point, because most of them are mistakes. The Bournemouth one a couple of weeks ago was a mistake. Well, maybe not a mistake, but it was a real scruffy goal.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, the Leeds one, awful goal. Today, mistake. So when they are mistakes, if you're beaten by a moment of sheer brilliance from somebody, you hold your hands up and say, well, fair enough, there's nothing you can do about it. But when it's self-inflicted, when it's making it easy for the opposition to score against you, then it becomes a problem. And then you get fixated on the defensive area, what we need to change, where do we need to go, and they're going to lose another right-back. Well, they're going to lose Slobber's for the next game. Who's going to play right-back on a potentially really difficult game away at Sunderland for Liverpool? So Liverpool have to show the mental side, the resilience, and bounce back with a victory. And it's a hard place to go to the stadium. I like the way they're playing. And they could, if Sunderland go and win, they'll go joint level with the same points as Liverpool. Behind them on goal difference, but they'll have the same points. Everton could go above them. Brentford could go above Liverpool. And that's when it starts to get really problematic for the manager.
Well, on that, they've seen Chelsea win 4 in a row in the league. Manchester United win 4 in a row. And in that period now, Liverpool have won once in 7 games. So whilst their rivals have got momentum, Liverpool are going the other way. I mean, is it unthinkable not to finish in a Champions League
of course it
position
is.
for the
reigning champions?
champions?
When you're the champions last year, when getting into the latter stages of the Champions League means £150 million that you can invest in new players to make your squad bigger and better and stronger, it's a massive problem. If you finish 4th, the manager's fine. We've said this before. If you finish 11th, 10th, 9th, out of the Champions League, playing Europa League or Europa Conference League after the success Liverpool have had, you know as well as we all do, that's a massive problem for the manager. So they need to go to Sunderland and get a victory, because Aston Villa are dropping a little bit. So Chelsea and Manchester United in the form they could be, and they could soon be leapfrogging Aston Villa. So when you've got teams above you dropping points, you have to make the most of it. And Liverpool are not. They're not. Bournemouth wasn't good enough. Today they've lost. Sandwiched in between is a victory against Newcastle. But it's not enough. It's not enough at the moment.
No. And as Arne Slot keeps saying, and he's lost another one, as Maka says, in Szoboszlai for Wednesday, he's only got 14 fit and available first teamers at the moment, and they're fighting still on 3 fronts.
But that's his fault. They've spent 450.
Here's all the
million.
recruitment team.
Exactly, the whole team. Yeah. It's the club's fault. You know, it's all right him saying to the board or whatever, you know, they could have changed all. They went out and spent fortunes on a handful of players. They could easily have, some of the players there, Isak, for example, was he needed?
Well,
of course, it's amazing.
That was the last moment, wasn't it? Which was a bit of a shambles.
Of course, he's amazing, isn't he? But 125 million or whatever it was, if you're concerned that you might have a few numerical problems, let's say in the squad, go and buy 4 players, 30 million. You know, go and piece it together. That's not you can't be halfway through the season or 2/3 through the season and start blaming that. That's your problem. Keeping players fit can be a little bit of luck, but a lot of the time you've got all these sports scientists, all these medics. A lot of the time it's how you train, how you prepare them, how you injury prevention and all the rest of it. Your squad, you have to go into a season having spent all that money. You can't then say, oh yeah, and we're light on players. That you've got to take into a consideration. Suspensions, injuries, loss of form, all these things. And you go into the season as well prepared as you can. Liverpool thought they were, and if he's complaining about it 2/3 of the way through, then it's not our fault, it's not your fault, it's not the fans' fault. They were the people that could have solved it.
Yeah, and defensively, when you look at Liverpool, 6 different right-backs this season, and if either Konate or Van Dijk have an issue, they have an issue, don't they, in terms of cover?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the factor is that a lot of their issues are in a similar position. Defensively, they've struggled throughout the season, haven't been as solid as we've known for them to be recent seasons. But yeah, you can't spend that amount of money and talk about the frustrations of not having enough players, because you're responsible to manage that. And yes, Isak was an impact injury, so that maybe isn't avoidable, but some of them are muscle injuries, which we know are down to sports science and data and training methods. So he's got to take some more responsibility on how the squad looks.
And they lost Shirel, didn't they? And they didn't bring anybody in. So we knew in August that was going to be a problem. Liverpool have been fortunate that Van Dijk and Konate have stayed fit. But elsewhere, Joe Gomez getting injured, Conor Bradley getting injured. If you look back in the past, they do get injuries. One of the new signings, Frimpong, constantly injured. Isak, constantly injured, a new signing. They're big blows. Liverpool had a bit of fortune last year as champions with injuries. They avoided a lot of injuries, and they got a lot of credit for it, because Arne did this at Feyenoord. His injury record at Feyenoord was excellent. It was last year. It's come back to bank them this year, because they are weak at the back, aren't they?
And it could get worse, because Konate is available on a free. And they don't look like they're strengthening anywhere. And can you get that level of experience next season? So they're going to have to strengthen with numbers and him alone. So it don't look it's getting any easier for them.
OK, Liverpool finishing the weekend outside the Champions League spots. When we come back, we'll